Good morning. My name is Ginger. And Steve, if you heard my name, would you say that again? My name? Thank you. How about Catherine? If you heard my name, would you say Happy Halloween? Thank you. So everybody can hear me well, right? Good. I'm then ready. When you leave home for a couple of days, what is the last thing you usually do? How about the first thing you do when you return? While growing up in a one Buddhist family, I watched my grandma bowing to Ilwonsang, the circle image, whenever she left home to go somewhere. She would stand in front of the circle image and take a moment and bow. She did the same thing whenever she came back home. Her bowing was so slow and respectful. It was as though she was praying, not just bowing. The image of my grandma bowing before the circle has been deeply carved in my heart as something special. Earlier this month, Venerable Juksanim did the same thing. Upon his arrival to the One Dharma Center after a 2-week visit to the One temples on the West Coast, the first thing he did was to go to the Dharma Hall here, where Ilwonsang is placed above the altar. What did Juksanim do there? Here. He stood in front of the circle image, took a moment for prayer, and bowed. Not only on this occasion, but each time Juksanim takes a trip out of town, he first visits the Dharma Hall to bow. He's not deterred, whether it is late at night or early in the morning. Bad weather does not stop him from making his way to the hall. Juksanim's trips always begin and end with prayer in front of the circle. Now, a question may arise for you. Is this a typical practice for one Buddhist practitioners? Do they always pray in front of Ilwonsang when they leave the temple or their home and return to it? Right. Actually, I have this line, yes and no. It is yes, because many people bow to Ilwonsang when they enter and leave the hall, Dharma hall. Ilwonsang, the symbol of truth, is centered in our practice. We almost always attend to it before we engage in any other activities. Probably you noticed that we bowed to Ilwonsang when we began this gathering today. We also do the same thing when we visit other One Buddhist temples. The first thing we do when we arrive there is to go to the main Dharma hall and greet the circle Buddha. However, it is not easy for everyone to practice this respectful bowing as intensely as Juksanim and my grandma. Why is this so? Recently, I've been thinking a lot about this why. Why would one Buddhist practitioners do this practice? My instant answer is that we are reminded to cultivate our true nature as we deliberately bow to the symbol of truth. But the tag, why, still lingers. First off, let me begin with why bowing is a form of practice that orients our mind to truth. One Buddhism is partly influenced by Confucianism, in which bowing is a cultural and social norm. In Korea, When you see someone older in age or of higher social position, you bow to them as a greeting. Also, bowing is a practice of being humble. When we lower our heads, we can intentionally release our sense of self. My teacher, Kyumunim, is one of many who sincerely practice bowing to Ilwon-sang each time she makes her way out of a temple. In my novice period, she often told me that Ilwon-sang is the eldest in the temple. It was quite impressive that she personified Ilwon-sang as the most respectful figure among all beings, including Sotaesan, Shakyamuni Buddha, and any other holy people. But no matter how gloriously we add meaning to Ilwon-sang, the circle itself is nothing but an object, unless we find our answer to why we practice what we practice. Let's say that bowing to Ilwon-sang is a form of a ritual. A ritual is a powerful tool when we know why we do it. But without proper content, a ritual is nothing but a formality. Have you ever attended an unfamiliar religious ceremony? Maybe this might be the one for you, for Jeannie and Tom. If you have, you might have thought that it was okay for just a one-time visit. You might have even thought it was a one-of-a-kind of experience. But suppose that there was special circumstances that required you to join that same service again and again. Your mind might scream saying, "Enough, please." This was true for me when I was a little. You know that I am from a one Buddhist family, but I did not necessarily love all temple activities. I remember being so bored by chanting Yeongju 21 times during the children's meditation service. It was as though the Kyomunim at that temple made us chant forever. It was almost torture. By the way, how did you like the chanting Yeongju today? Right, we didn't chant Yeongju today. But we're going to chant next week probably, and I hope you enjoy it. Speaking of ritual, I feel the need to explain the word enshrinement. Understanding the concept of enshrinement is helpful when we are making our bowing practice authentic. Here is what enshrinement means. It is installing a sacred object to make a place holy. In Won Buddhism, we often use this word when we hold a service to place Ilwon-sang in a Dharma hall or at someone's home. We call it the Ilwon-sang enshrinement ceremony. Let's look at the Dharma words Master Cheong-san shared during an enshrinement service.
If I were to describe the fundamental meaning of the Dharmakaya Buddha, it is that realm in which words and speech, names and signs are eradicated. If we were to describe its real essence, nothing in the universe is not the Dharmakaya Buddha. Hence, even if the Ilwon-sang were not enshrined, the truth of the Dharmakaya Buddha remains always simply thus.
Master Cheong-san, as an enlightened teacher, considered everything in the universe to be embodiment of Dharmakaya Buddha. What he is saying in this passage is that everything we see here in this Dharma hall is nothing but Buddha. Therefore, ideally, we do not need any separate object to enshrine. So, do any of you have any trouble seeing the things here as Buddhas? The more we awaken to truth, the wiser our eyes will be when we appreciate everything as a Buddha. So think about your level of seeing Buddhas. This reflection will give you a hint of what proper steps you need to take in your spiritual path ahead. Let us read more about the idea of enshrinement. During the enshrinement ceremony, Master Cheongsan also said,
However, for general devotees, if the object of worship is not visible, it is difficult to know either that place where the mind can take refuge or the practice model. And even if we do know them, it is easy at times to lose the standard for assessing our minds. Thus, the founding teacher, Sotasan, encouraged devotees to enshrine the Ilwan Sang, the symbol of the Dharmakaya Buddha, either at a temple or at home, and to revere it as the object of faith and the model for practice, whether in walking, standing, sitting, reclining, speaking or keeping silent, or being active or at rest.
Thank you, Pat. One aspect of human nature we all share is that we are so forgetful. This is particularly true when we are caught up with delusive thoughts. Therefore, we want to reflect on our true nature as often as possible. Installing the symbol of truth in the temple or at home serves this purpose well. By simply taking time to look at Ilwansang and reflect on the qualities of being perfect, complete, and selfless, our mind can become spacious and we can detach our minds from sensory conditions. If you have an Ilwansang at home, please use it as a ritual tool with which you can take refuge in your original mind. When you come to this sanctuary, use this Ilwansang as a way to contemplate your genuine being. If you don't have one yet installed at home, consider doing so. The more you reflect on your true nature, the more you resemble those qualities and make them your own. However, a mere reminder of our original nature is not enough by itself to change our lives. We need to make our body a temple and install truth within us. Master Taesan linked this idea of installing truth with the mind of respect and awe. He said, "We glorify Ilwansang in the Dharma Hall to enshrine Buddha in our mind. Enshrining Buddha in our mind means embracing truth within us all the time. Having Buddha in our heart and embracing truth within ourselves, we cultivate the mind of respect and awe in daily life. To see changes in life, truth needs to be internalized. To serve Buddha in our mind means to live a life like Buddha. We need to transform ourselves into a Buddha." You may wonder how to do that. The key is having a mind of respect and awe. We can intentionally adopt this attitude when we engage in our day-to-day life. In fact, if you look around, you'll see that everything is your precious Buddha who you can revere and respect. Why? Because they are the ones who can directly share blessings and harm. Let's consider this story below. An elderly butcher named Sang-gil Park opened a butcher shop in the marketplace. One day, 2 noblemen came to buy meat. The first nobleman shouted, "Hey you, Sang-gil, give me a pound of meat." "All right," said the butcher. Even though the nobleman was rude, Mr. Park cut the meat and gave it to him. The other nobleman felt uncomfortable talking to an elder man without due respect, so he asked politely, "Mr. Park, please give me a pound of meat." The butcher happily answered, "Sure, sir." When the first man saw that his friend received double the amount of meat for the same price, he retorted, "Hey, you butcher, why is my friend meat twice as much as mine?" Sangil Park, the butcher, answered, "This is because your meat was cut by Hey You, and your friend's meat was cut by Mr. Park. In this shop, there are two different measurements depending on who cuts the meat." I like to seeing smile on your face, so you must like this story. So what's the point of this story? A humble man can make a good bargain? Surely this story resonates with the saying, what goes around comes around. Regardless of the circumstances, it is always wise to plant wholesome seeds first. While living in the One Dharma Center and observing how Juksanim leads his days, I have noticed his distinctive attitude when it comes to the mind of respect and awe. No matter what circumstances he is put in, he always treats people with heartfelt respect. Juksanim puts others' comfort before his own. He never neglects the mind of wonder either. As much as he reveres truth, he reveres everything around him. The mind of respect and awe is the essence of installing truth in our mind. In fact, it is an expression of faith. To internalize truth, we first need to build a vessel to take in that teaching. Bowing to Ilwonsang helps us create a good vessel. Bowing is one way to express your faith in truth. Early each morning, Juksanim starts his day by making 4 bows in this Dharma hall, as well as other Kyomunims. Although the circle image itself is finger pointing to truth, bowing to it can be a good way to connect our aspirations to our everyday life. We can wake up our individual temple in our body and embrace Buddha. Mature practitioners hold truth in their hearts all the time. What distinct characteristics do mature practitioners have? I find the answer from both Juksanim and my grandma, even though they have had different lives. Juksanim is well educated, ordained, celibate, and a prominent Dharma teacher. He is the first head Dharma master in One Buddhism USA. On the other hand, my grandma was a lay practitioner who never had a chance to be educated, and she has passed away a few years ago. Nonetheless, they share some common qualities. Each appreciates their life fully and share gratitude with the people around them. They are gentle in speech and action. Juksanim and my grandma are people of love, and the mind of respect and awe manifests through them. Their sincere attitude to Ilwonsang resonates in my heart. I reflect on who they are and how they live. Let us embrace truth in our hearts. Each time we take our time to make a bow, we enshrine the mind Buddha in our hearts. To stand before the circle Ilwonsang is a time to align with our aspiration, infinite truth, and teachers who guide us to enlightenment. Thank you.